All right. So it is Tool Time Tuesday, and we're on session 115, and we're going to talk about Snagit. We don't have the latest version of Snagit, but I don't think that's hurting that much. I use it every single day. I'm also going to mention the snipping tool with Microsoft, so you're aware of that. These are just great tools to help explain things to one another, especially since we're all over the place, right? We're in different buildings, we're in different, parts of the city, we're all over the place. So Snagit can be a really helpful tool. And one of the things I've learned from Leslie over the years too is that when you have an issue, like a technical issue, uh, it's really easy to sort of email someone quick and say, this isn't working, but sometimes it's helpful. It is always helpful to have some screenshots or at least describe what happened and how you got to that issue in the first place. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to talk about Snagit today. So I'm Larissa. Leslie's out of the office, but we're from the library. If you need us, you know where to find us. You can go to Insight and type in library. We're here to help. So please ask questions. So I did want to mention that we have some upcoming classes. Our scientific editors are teaching a series on writing persuasive R01 proposals. This is an amazing series. I believe they already completed the first session, but there's no reason you couldn't come to the next ones. They are on the institutional calendar. They're also on the library calendar. We have an EndNote 21 session on using Cite while you write. If you're not familiar with Cite while you write, that's how you make your references in Word, how you actually insert them in Word. And then we have a Dear Editor session coming up on websites that our scientific editors recommend that can help you with your writing. So these are all available on the institutional calendar, on the library calendar, along with lots of other amazing activities. We wanted to remind you about the 20-20-20 rule. I've noticed I've been getting a lot of eye strain. Maybe it's just general strain. Sometimes it feels like brain strain. But the 20-20-20 rule is just an easy thing where you're supposed to take a 20-second break every 20 minutes. Just look at something 20 feet away. So just look away from your screens. Don't take a break and look at your phone. Look away from your screens. Maybe, look outside if you can, outside a window or something, just to prevent digital eye strain. Okay, so when I mentioned the snip and sketch tool first, I'm not going to focus on this one as much because it's just a lot more basic than Snagit, but it totally works. And you've probably used it before, even without knowing it. Snip and Sketch is just a simple tool that's added to our computers from Microsoft. It's available from your start menu, so you can just type in Snip and Sketch. And I'm going to show you a shortcut too. There's no download required for this one. So you can snip something today, screenshot something today. It's really, really basic. You can make basic edits, which is sometimes just all you need. And it does make it easy for you to save or share those screenshots quickly. So how to use the Snip and Sketch. The shortcut on your keyboard is the Windows key, Shift, and S. You can choose which snip area you want, just select the screen. They have a square selection, a lasso, and a window and a screen. Most of us are just going to do window or screen because it's quick and easy. You can zoom in your area. So if you're not familiar on your keyboard, in general, when you need to zoom into something, you can hit Control+ to zoom in and Control-. When you once you snip, it will open up the snip editor, and then you can add some additional text and highlighting and crop the image. That's about all it will do. So I circled something in this snip image. It's just really basic. It totally works. But then there's a share option or a save button. So you get to choose where you want to save. Someone asked where the images are saved. I actually did not check to see if they're default saved somewhere. I did for Snagit, so I don't know why I didn't think of it for here. So I will check on that for you. I will tell you when you're snipping things, they are being saved somewhere typically. It's something that Leslie and I are very concerned with privacy. Be aware that when you're snipping things, when you're snagging things, they are going somewhere on your computer and they're being saved. So even if you think you deleted it, It's being saved in a folder somewhere, and we can talk about where those are at. But I need to look that up for the snip. I'm writing it down. Sorry, got to write it down. You can set your print key to be the default for snipping, and for some of you, it may already be set. So you can change your default to set that snipping tool for a quick screenshot. Again, if you search the start menu, just search for settings. You're going to go to settings. You can type in print screen up here to find where your print screen shortcut is, and you can toggle that on. So print screen is the default button for snipping. You do have to restart your computer for that to go into effect. So maybe do it at the end of the day. Your default keys you can change. So don't just live with the fact that the default keys aren't working the way that you want. You can change them. It is annoying to remember or Google and figure out where to change default keys, but default keys can save you a lot of time. So if your print screen wasn't already enabled to snip, you might need to set that. So let's talk about Snagit. Snipping is the default Microsoft tool. Snagit, you actually have to download. Okay, so someone said their snips from the app automatically saved to OneDrive. So it could be different for different people, but I bet you there's preferences where we can change where it saves to. Thank you for that. Thank you. So Snagit I've used for years and years, and probably many of you have as well. The advantage to Snagit is you have a lot more options for not only taking screenshots, but doing screen recordings and then editing those. So we're going to talk about some of those. You can download Snagit from the Software Center. You can capture screenshots, videos. You can annotate those screenshots, which is part of the advantage. There's some minor video editing capabilities. They're not amazing. They're just minor. You can create how-tos, like handouts on how to do something. So for your staff, if you need to have screenshots included. And you can create animated GIFs as well. GIFs, I think, is what it is. I always forget. The Snagit menu, when you open it up, this is the window that you get. They give you 3 separate options, so I wanted to mention them, but the one that's used the most is the image tab, and I believe it's the default one that opens. The all-in-one tab is supposed to be a quick screenshot, but the image just gives you a little bit more control, and you can set your selections, and we'll talk about that, so you can capture really quickly. The image tab just gives you a few more advanced options, and then you can record your video by selecting the video one. Sometimes I'll hit video and I'll have recorded something, and then the next day I come back and I'm trying to just take a screenshot and I'm still on video. It's kind of annoying, but with the video even, they have an image option. So if you accidentally hit video, you can click image instead. So don't be fooled or like sort of overwhelmed by all the tabs. Image is the default one and usually works the best. Yes, someone mentioned their window scroll doesn't work anymore. Mine didn't either, and we did find a solution for that. I don't know why the scrolling window stopped working. I don't know if it's a Microsoft thing, but I will show you a way to do that. You can use your hotkey to capture really quickly, and I'm going to mention this again at the end, but if your hotkey if you need to change it, Snagit makes it so easy. You just click on the hotkey below the capture button and you can type in or enter whatever hotkey you want. You can make up the craziest hotkey you want, or you can just say, I want it to be, F9, whatever it is. Mine is F5. It's always been F5. So it's in my brain as F5. I would probably have to leave it that way. But they make it easy to change that hotkey so you can quickly capture something. You do have Snagit preferences as well. Typically, we're not digging into these, but it's just I want you to be aware that they're there if you need to make changes. So in the Snagit capture option, you can go to File, Capture Preferences. You can choose whether you want Snagit to run when you start up your computer, or maybe you don't. And you could choose whether you want the capture window to open or the capture window and widget to open. The widget personally was driving me nuts because it was kind of hanging around. So I changed back to the capture window and I liked it better. Under the capture tab, you can hide the Snagit window when capturing. That's the default, but sometimes you need to show the Snagit window. Just be aware if you need your Snagit screen to show, you can have that option there. And then you can have it open your screenshots in the editor quickly. That's a big advantage to me. Once I capture, I want my editor to open so I can go ahead and edit my screenshot and move on with my day. So if the editor's not opening automatically, you can make that change here. And again, they have a lot more hotkeys in here that you can change to override other hotkey assignments when you have Snagit open. So if you love hotkeys, shortcuts, you can change those yourself in the hotkeys section. For a Snagit image, there are advanced options. So a lot of times we open Snagit and we just hit capture and we don't spend time kind of thinking about how to do this. And when I say we, I mean me. So Leslie, every once in a while, when she's seen me snag something, she'll say, "Why are you doing it the long way? You could just change your selections and it would work faster." Oh, Leslie, you're so practical. A lot of times I'll snag it and then I'll spend time editing, but you can change your selections here. So you can choose to snag a region or a window or the full screen. The scrolling window is something that used to work really well in Snagit, and for some reason it's not working for me either. The panoramic is the solution for this. So if your scrolling window isn't working, switch to panoramic and it will do almost the same thing. You'll grab your screen, you'll say start, and then you automatically scroll down or to the side. So maybe you're doing a spreadsheet and you need to see the whole thing. You could do down or to the side to scroll and capture that larger screen. So panoramic is the answer for that. No idea why scrolling doesn't work and panoramic does, but it does. So try out panoramic if you need to scroll. You can grab text too. So if you're on a web page and it's not copying from the web page, you can capture a section of the screen and it'll grab the text from the screen so you can copy and paste it into something. This is something you may not need that often, but it's kind of nice if you're in a document that's locked. Hopefully it's not super private or anything and you can't copy. You can grab the text with the grab text option and it will try to pull that text out for you so you can copy and paste it. There's also additional features under advanced. So you could freehand, and freehand is just what it sounds like. You draw the section of the page you want to grab. If you're having a hard time capturing a menu, you're trying to show somebody like the file menu or whatever it is, and it's not capturing. If you select menu, Snagit does a better job of capturing the screen plus the menu so that you can actually share that if you need to show someone steps. And then objects just helps you select a really small portion of the screen. So it will help you narrow into a really smaller part so you don't have to spend a lot of time cropping later. Oh, yes. So someone asked, is there a way to make the print screen button always open Snagit rather than the snipping tool? You can change your default here to print screen, and that should override the default on the computer. So literally under the capture button, if you click on whatever your text says below capture, you should be able to hit your print screen button and it should replace that and override anything else. As long as Snagit's open, whatever your hotkey is, should override. I think I know we tested that out. Mine's F5 because it just was. I'm not sure why, and I can't not remember F5 now. But you could totally do print screen. The other thing you can do is you can set effects before you capture. So if you want your capture to have a nice border around it or a filter, you can change this effects under the effects window. And then you can change how you share. I don't typically do that, but if you needed to quickly email a screenshot, you could say, I want it to go to email. It captures and it will automatically attach to an email. Usually I want to edit a little before I email it, but you can use the share option. Any questions about that so far, about this just the general snagging the image or the text? Okay. You can also do video. The video is, again, very basic, but it's perfect if you need to help show somebody something that happened on your screen. Maybe you want to recreate an issue that's happening for 4Info and they're not getting it, or maybe you're not able to describe it well. It's so hard to describe those things. Sometimes just recording the screen is helpful. So you just hit the video tab here, but you do have a couple of options. You can record your webcam so you're in the screen too. That's great maybe for an instructional video, but maybe you don't want to record your webcam. You can just turn it off. You can record the system audio. So if you need it to include the sounds of your computer, like maybe your computer's making a weird pinging sound, or maybe there's something really important to the sounds to your video, you can turn that on or off. So system audio is really just the sounds that your computer are making. Maybe you just want to record what happened without recording instruction over it. You can turn your microphone on or off. You can have it capture your cursor moving around the screen. And those are your basic options. So webcam, do you want to have a microphone? Do you not? Do you want system audio? Once you hit capture, I always have it turned on to preview in the editor immediately. So then I could take a look at it and see if did my sound work the way I thought it did. It always happens where you might select your microphone and then you realized you were using the wrong microphone and you have to re-record. So it's always good to test first before you do your full video. When you finish an image capture or a video capture, it should open up your Snagit editor for you. If it doesn't, you can also open the Snagit editor from your start menu, and you can change your preferences to have the editor opened up. So why do you need the editor? The editor's the part where you can add a lot of annotations. So when my image or my video is captured, and then I can go in here and I can make some edits with the tools or the effects at the top, and we're going to look at those. I can see the recent screen captures that I have here at the bottom. They just live in a little tray down here. And then I can see additional screenshots in the upper left-hand corner. And this is something I want to point out to you that from a privacy perspective. Let me see. I actually closed my editor. It was silly because I was going to show it to you. Let's get it to open. Okay. This is my Snagit editor. In my library here at the top, it's recording everything that I've done. That means I could go back in time and I could look at older screenshots if I want, which is great, especially if you're super organized. You may know when you did your screenshot, you may have titled it somehow. It also gives me a notation of where I was when I recorded it. So if I remember I took an Outlook screenshot and I want to go back and look at those screenshots, you can see that the number is listed here of how many times I've taken a screenshot there. Apparently EndNote is my number 163. I think that's EndNote, because you guys ask a lot of EndNote questions. There's that Chrome. I can't really tell the line up there. But something to remember here is this is a privacy issue for you as well, that these are being recorded. I'm not saying you're doing anything inappropriate work, but I want you to be aware that these are here. They're being saved to your computer, whether you know it or not, and they could go back for years. So you can go back and you can find where these are saved under Edit and Editor Preferences. And I believe, I forgot where it's at. Here it is, under Library. I changed where mine are saved, but yours might be saved somewhere. You can open the file and take a look, and you can delete those if you want. Just from a privacy standpoint, or maybe you just don't want to have 200 EndNote screenshots, you can go back and you can delete those. You could also right click and you can delete them as well, but it's a little bit slower that way. So someone said, is there a quick way to organize files, images in Snagit? I think this is their attempt at organizing them, is by saying like you could go back and choose where you were when you did the screenshot. But I'm not sure of any other way to organize them in here well. They're trying to give you a shortcut here to say, oh, I know I did a Copilot screenshot. I can click on this and go back to the screenshots I've done in Copilot. or the screenshots I did while I was in PubMed, whatever that may be. But I'm not sure of any other quick way, and if anybody has any other thoughts. Yes, so someone said the editor doesn't automatically open for them. You can definitely have the editor automatically open, because it's like the best part of being in Snagit to me is that we can add some effects here. So this is a screenshot that I did, and I added a couple of effects here, just some call outs with some text in them to indicate what I'm talking about. That's just a really basic one. Yes, so someone said to show one more time where the files are saved. It's under Edit, Editor Preferences, and Library. So they should be, your default is going to be set here. You can click the file folder and you can change where the default is. So you could say that you want it to go, on, I could put it in my OneDrive and I could have a folder in here where I want it to go. Or I could put it, I would not suggest putting it on your desktop because that's a lot of files. But maybe you could put it on a network drive or on your C drive somewhere under your documents. I put it on my OneDrive just because I'm using it more and more, but you can select where you want them to go and then you can make edits there. It's not as simple as it should be, in my opinion, but privacy is important, so be aware if you want to delete those. Okay, so let's take a look at more of what it will do for us. So the effects that are available, there are a ton of them. So you can use the effects toolbar up here at the top in your editor to add some, zhuzh to your screenshot. I learned how to spell zhuzh the other day, by the way. It's because I thought maybe I should know how to spell that. So helpful, I know. So your basic effects are going to be here, but there's more under the More menu. So you can drag and drop the ones that you use the most to your Snagit menu here, so they'll just be there and you don't have to click more. You can also choose the Customize Toolbar option to select which effects you use most frequently. I just drag and drop them because it's easy for the ones that I use the most. You can also save your favorite effects. So there's like a quick styles or preloaded settings for tools. So you can save quick styles as favorites so they can be easy to access from the quick style menu. You could go to each tool and right click on any effect to save it as a favorite. Okay, so some of my favorite editor options, or these are just some of the basic ones. The arrow. Adding an arrow to something, so easy to just say, hey, this is what I'm looking at. Adding a little text to call something out and describe something on the image. There's also call out, and I used the call out earlier. It's the little bubble where you can write in text. Or shape. Shape is probably, aside from arrow, the number one that I use. The number one effect I use, because I can draw a shape around a section of the image, and just super easy, and it's quick. It's a nice little rectangle or circle, so I can call something out really, really quickly. Steps are very helpful. If you haven't seen the steps in Editor, if you're trying to describe to someone how to take steps on a menu, you can say, you just click step 1, it's right here, and I can move it around. Step 2 is here, and so on. You can also change the numbers. So if they were misnumbered, you can just click on it and I can change this. I meant this to be number 3 instead of number 2, and I could make that change for steps. Steps are a nice, quick, easy way to show someone how they should move through a menu or a page. And blur. Blur is super helpful for us because sometimes we're trying to show a screenshot, but we want to blur out people's faces or names or details. The blur is super easy to just select, and you can highlight a section and it will blur that section. Just selecting steps is really, let me show you another screenshot here. So steps, it's under the More menu, and you can choose what color or like shape you want it to be. I almost always just go with the default, but let's say we want to do green this time. I could say, okay, step 1 is here. I just click Step 2 is here. And I'll say step 3 is hit OK. And if I'm describing it out some way and I want to change the numbers, I think you can just double click on it and you could change that number. So if I wanted to change this to step 4 or 5, I could just type in a different step. Those steps are super helpful. Blur is super helpful. I can blur out a section for privacy. And then the shape is the other one that I love because, and that's what this is just drawing a shape around a section of the screenshot to show to sort of highlight what I'm talking about. So those are my favorite ones, but there's a lot more. There are some advanced effects. So one that you can do is if you've done a scrolling window and you don't want to send the whole scrolling window or panoramic view in this case, you can do a cutout. This is a little hard to see, but a cutout will just cut out the middle section of the image. So I only need them to see the top and the bottom. I cut out this middle section and so that I'm not showing them this whole panoramic screen. They don't need to see the whole thing. They just need to see a section. Magnifying will allow you to dim or blur something, but also to zoom in on a section. And then the magic wand will remove the background of an image. So I could use the magic wand on the background of this image just to leave the people here and get rid of the background if I wanted to. If you ever need to start over, like you're editing and you're like, oops, I did too much, you can go to edit and you can revert to original and start from scratch. So that has happened to me where I got a little crazy with my edits. You can undo 1 or 2 if you want, but you can also just start from the beginning again. You could go to edit and revert. Yeah, Leslie loves the cutout too, and she always reminds me that I should be cutting out things so I don't send an entire screen. This is the cutout. Let me use a different image. Let's see. If I wanted to cut out and say, I don't need this center section, I can just select it. It cuts it out and it makes the screenshot a lot smaller. So if they only needed to see the top and the bottom and not the whole thing, the cutout is super easy. Saves a lot of space and it kind of helps visually so you're not overwhelmed. I wanted to mention too that there's image sizing. So at the bottom of your image, you can make your image bigger or smaller. And sometimes this is important for sharing it with somebody or adding it somewhere. This is just making it a little bigger or smaller. But also under the image menu and the editor, you can resize your whole canvas. So if somebody says you can only submit an image this size, you can select resize canvas and you can enter it in, or resize image. It's just a reminder that you can change the size if that's a requirement. You can also change the canvas color, so the background color as well from here. Those are things you might not need to do every day. But so for short videos, you can do a picture-in-picture video, which is to record your screen and your webcam. All you have to do is make sure you select record webcam and make sure you select the actual correct devices. Typically, I just record. I don't do anything fancy, but you do want to test it and make sure that your webcam and your audio is correct. Because there's nothing more frustrating than recording like a 10-minute video and then you go back to look at it and it didn't capture the audio because you didn't select the right microphone. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to more than one of us. You can do some basic editing. You could cut out sections in the middle of the video. You can use a little red and green slider to trim the beginning or the end or the middle of your video. Very basic. You could also use the GIF icon to create an animated GIF or the PNG to just create an image of your video as well. So these are right there at the bottom of the editor, so you can download a GIF or a PNG. GIFs are a little squirrely, but they're there. There are also templates. So if you need to create a step-by-step how-to guide, you can go to the create option and you can choose a template. They have these pre-made templates for you, so you can just insert your screenshots or your videos and your instructions. Very handy dandy if you want it to be really polished and pretty. And last thing is sharing. There's a lot of options for sharing. Some of these are blocked for us, like SharePoint is blocked for us. I'm not sure why. Perhaps we could ask for info that, but the quickest way to share to me is if I need to just email it really quickly, I can share to email, to printer, to Word or PowerPoint, and those do work just fine. Okay, and then the hotkey. We already talked about the hotkey or the shortcut, but you can change your shortcut just by clicking on the bottom of your capture button and just add in whichever shortcut you choose. When Snagit's open, it will override your other shortcuts to be the default shortcut. Is the quality better with share versus copy and paste into Word? I don't know if it's better. I would imagine that it's better, but I almost always just copy and paste and the quality is just fine. I don't know if you've had a quality issue with the copy paste. Okay. Ooh, I don't know how long Snagit can record. I'm not sure. I would remember that, like, if you're gonna record something long, I would suggest using the Clipchamp tool. There's way better editing features in Clipchamp, and it's just snazzier. And they have like the transcript in there. They have some AI components in there to help, improve it. Okay, someone says they've done a whole hour. I don't think I've done a whole hour before. So keep in mind that you can record with Zoom, you can record with Clipchamp, you can record with Stream. Usually when I record with this, because of the editing, I keep it pretty short. You can also record with PowerPoint too. So if you're just recording a PowerPoint presentation for an educational purpose, you can record in PowerPoint as well. So there's lots of options for recording. But good to know. An hour and 30 minutes. So someone else. So next person who records 2 hours, you'll have to report back. Okay, so what's the institutional policy for recording a virtual meeting? There are permissions for required for recording in Zoom, and you do have to apply for that. I would let you know. I have looked for official policies on what we can record, and I cannot find them. I've asked that as well, and I don't know. What I would say is to make sure you check with everyone and they know they're being recorded, and make sure you're not recording anything that could reveal any PHI or PII. So usually I record just educational sessions and not meetings, but that's a bigger question for info. A good question.